We're going to look at an interesting article that was in the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. I get the weekly bulletin emailed to me, so it was something interesting in there. Now they're talking about Karanganov, who is a former Yeltsin and Putin advisor, runs a think tank. I've talked to him about him before. He's the guy who figures that you need to nuke Europe. Say, 3, 4, 5 nukes, whatever it takes, just to show that Russia is serious about fighting an all-out general nuclear war, and that would intimidate and make the Europeans and America back off the Ukraine and let Russia have the Ukraine and all that, and back off the sanctions and everything else like that. So that's what he thinks. But he is very delusionary, and he is very wishful thinking, magical thinking, whatever you want to call it, because sorry, but a limited nuclear war will not stay limited for long. In fact, I think it's quite an oxymoron. Have this whole concept. I mean, and it's not just him talking about that. The West also has this concept of escalate to de-escalate. If you ever look at the, On Thermonuclear War by Kuhn, and he talks about that. Essentially what it means is we fire a nuke, and show them we're serious. And then boom. And the other side says, well, we got to show them that we're really, really serious, so we'll fire 3 back. And the other guy says, well, we got to show them we're really, really serious, so we'll fire 4 back or 5 back. And so on it goes, and before you know it, within a day or two, or maybe a week at the most or so, you have a full all-out nuclear war with thousands of warheads going back and forth, and that's it. The Northern Hemisphere is cremated. Why is that? Well, think about it. What political leader wants to be seen as weak? I mean, we're going to back down and show they're serious. They fired 3 nukes at us, so we're not going to fire anymore. Well, that would be the end of their political career, but for far less. Khrushchev in the Cuban Missile Crisis, because he essentially backed down and pulled the missiles out of Cuba. That cost him his job. I think it was not long after the Cuban Missile Crisis where he was fired. But he was a rare sort. He cared more about humanity than his own political hide. In fact, he was quoted as saying that in the last hour of my life, because he was told that basically he had disgraced the Soviet Union, Soviet Union lost honor because of him, and his response to that was, in the last hour of my life, knowing that the USSR and the USA are ruins, will I be happy knowing that I preserved the honor of the Soviet Union? Of course, his answer was no to that. But a lot of politicians would be. You can imagine if this all happened during an American election year. Do you think that Biden or whoever was the president at the time would dare back down and be seen as weak? His political opposition would just be all over him. They'd have him for lunch, or even in the Russian Federation, if Putin or his successor, did not retaliate, he'd be seen as weak. He wouldn't last long either. The knives would be out, and he'd be out the door pretty quick too. So it would take a rare leader who would put the people, the lives of the people of the earth, of his own people, of every people, before his own political survival is pretty rare, and that's not going to happen. And besides, they have this fallacy of escalate to de-escalate. If we show that we're really, really strong, we fire more than they have, they will back down. Of course, they won't, because they're the same thing. They have their own political hides to look after. And these leaders always train, the military people, the advisors always train for ongoing escalation, going from conventional to tactical nuclear to limited strategic nuclear to all-out nuclear war. And so it'll go up that ladder, and bang, there it goes. And in fact, I've gained that scenario using the nuclear war simulator, and plus I've also read plenty of other accounts and stuff like that, including the works of Ellsberg and others, to show that a limited nuclear war is an oxymoron. That as soon as one of these things is used, within a matter of hours or days, maybe a week or 2 at the most, it'll be all-out nuclear war, and that's game over. So based on that, we have to sort of really put the brakes on. We have to really talk about de-escalation. We have to have our leaders really, change the mentality so that leaders can feel safe or feel more responsible enough to actually properly de-escalate without just cremating the entire planet in order to look tough, in order to swing their dicks around. So I want you to think all about that, and think the fact that it could easily spiral out of control in Ukraine or over Taiwan. We've never been closer to nuclear war, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, and so we have to be aware of that risk and be prepared for it. So please subscribe, comment, do like this video, and come back. I'll be covering these issues. We'll be covering the political issues, the risks, survival techniques, everything you need to know about the probability of nuclear war and how to try and make it through in one piece. Bye for now.